Hello, it's Sandy with a little bit of glitter again, and I'm still playing with Valentine's Day cards. This stamp set actually came out in fall. It's called Hey There, Hayrides, and it is just an adorable stamp set. So I decided to kind of switch it up a little bit and make it for a Valentine's Day card. One of my favorite things to do in card making is inking the background. So on this particular card, I made the mountains pink, and then I decided I would stencil some little hearts on top of it. I thought that gave it just a really cute little Valentine's touch. Go ahead and give me a thumbs up if you like my video. Also hit subscribe if you'd like to be notified of future videos. You can also follow me on Instagram at Sandy Cogdill or on my blog alittlebitofglitter.com. Let's get started on this fun little card. Starting at the bottom of my card, I'm going to use my Slimline Grassy stencil. I'll go ahead and tape it down with some washi tape. As I've mentioned before, I have buckets full of washi tape, and that's how I have decided to use it, because I will never use all of that washi tape in cards. So we're going to go ahead and tape that down. I'm using Cracked Pistachio as my base color, and then I'm going to go back in with a little bit of Lucky Clover. Just highlight the tops of those grass blades, and then I'm going to spatter it with a little bit of watered down Lucky Clover also. There isn't a Slimline mountain stencil, so I'm going to have to use my regular mountain stencil and just kind of play around with it so that I can get it lined up on my card where I want it, and make sure I have a full mountain range. Starting on the right hand side, I'm going to go ahead and tape it in place. And then on the left-hand side, I've used a little bit of a Post-it note tape to tape that left edge down. And if you can tell, I'm actually putting the tape over that very last mountain. I'm going to ink up to that, but I don't want to ink on top of that tape because it's going to leave a really harsh line. So I'm going to lift that tape up a couple times and kind of blend over to that side. And then I'm going to pick up my stencil and scooch it all the way over to the side, lining up my mountains, and finish my mountain range. I'm going to use Kitsch Flamingo to put the little ice caps on the mountains. I do a little bit of masking on the stencil with my washi tape, just because sometimes I get a little carried away and all of a sudden I have ink where I don't want it. Once I have my mountaintops done, I'm going to use the same type method I did when I inked my mountains originally, and go ahead and I will leave those masked off at the top and take my Falling Heart stencil and just kind of go across the little mountain range with Kitsch Flamingo again and put some little hearts on those mountains. Now, since there isn't a slimline stencil for the mountain range, I'm going to have to kind of mask off a part of that range so I can go ahead and use my cloudy stencil to put in the sky. So again, I'm using the Post-it tape. I've traced out the mountain range on that, cut it out, and then I will place where my stencil doesn't cover. I will place that over the mountains. Then I will go back in and start stenciling my clouds. I'm going to use tumbled glass ink along with my cloudy stencil and start at the top of my card, moving down, putting in some clouds. Once I get done doing that, I'm going to go ahead and peel off my little Post-it tape mask, and then I'm going to use the mountain stencil to cover up those pink mountains and just kind of blend a little bit of ink down at the bottom so it kind of creates a little bit of a horizon line. Then I'm going to go ahead and speckle my little mountains, keeping them covered with some watered down tumbled glass ink. So when you do stamping, you want to think of what you want in the foreground of your stamp. So that's going to be the first thing you stamp. So I've stamped my wagon. I already have a mask cut out of the wagon, and a mask cut out of the heart. I will use both of those further on down in the video here. So with the wagon mask, I'm going to place that over my little wagon, and then I will stamp my hearts on top of that mask. So I'm using the Simply Celebrate Heart stamp. I don't need the whole thing, so I'm only going to ink it halfway, and then I'm going to use my chamois and wipe off the ink that I don't want to show on my paper. So I only want a number of hearts to go in that wagon. So I'm going to make sure that I use the chamois to get the excess ink off of that. I'm going to cover the little hearts that I just stamped with a mask, and then I'm going to stamp my little mice on top. And then, as you can see, I'm going to go back in with a fine tip marker and just kind of connect lines that might not have made it or need a little bit of emphasis. I'm going to do the same process for that second wagon. Once I have my hearts masked off, I'm going to use the little envelopes and mail from the special delivery stamp set. Go ahead and stamp those on top. I'm going to want the one in the middle to be in the background, so I'm going to mask off the two little envelopes that don't have the postage on, and then I'm going to stamp that last little envelope on top and fill that little wagon with all kinds of fun mail. So I've gone ahead and stamped the rest of my paper with different elements from the different stamp sets I used for this card. The stamp sets I've used are, again, Hey There Hayrides and the Hey There Hayrides Mice add-on. I've used Simply Celebrate Hearts. Those are the little hearts in the wagons. I'm using Oh Gnome for the mushrooms. You Are Sublime. Those are the little hearts that are the smokestack, or coming out of a little smokestack on the little tractor. I use special delivery for more random little hearts, and then the words that I put on the little sign. And I think that is about all of the stamps that I used on the card. I've done Copic coloring. The colors I'm using for reds are R14, R29, and R39. For the pinks, I'm using R11, R20, and R22. The browns, which are like the little panels on the wagon, they are E30, E33, and E35. The blue that I use for the smokestacks and kind of to highlight my mail are BG000, BG01, and BG02. And then for my grays for the mice and other items, I've used C1, C3, C4, C5, and C6. Because I've done the masking on the two little wagon pieces, I can't use a die, of course, that comes with the set, so I will use my scan and cut. And since I have so many other elements colored on this piece of paper, I'll just use my scan and cut to cut all of the pieces. Once I have my tractor cut out with my scan and cut, I will go back in with the little piece from the die that cuts out that center, that window area of the tractor, so I can put my little mouse in there driving the tractor. Now that we have everything cut and ready to go, we've got our background done, I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit of glitter at the bottom of the little ice caps on the mountains. The way I'm going to do this is I use a ballpoint, it's like glue pen, and I just use the pen to go around the bottom of that shape, and then I sprinkle some pixie dust glitter on top of it. You could use stickles too. I just didn't have the time, and I tend to get completely carried away when I have a bottle of stickles in my hand, so this is one way I try to control myself with the glitter. I do a couple mountains at a time just because that glue dries very, very quickly, and if you were to do the whole range, by the time you got to that last mountain, your glue would be dry and you just have to re-glue it again. I will also use my Misty to stamp the sentiment at the top and at the bottom. The sentiment at the top is part of the Hey There Hayrides set, and the Happy Valentine comes from the Simply Celebrate Hearts. I just ink those in regular black ink. I will glue all of my little pieces on where I want them on my card. I did realize that I needed something up in the sky even with the little smoke from the smokestack, so I used the puffy cloud frames and just cut out a few clouds from white cardstock, so I was able to glue those on up at the top and just fill that sky in just a little bit, but not too much. That's why I love that die set, because those clouds are just a whisper of a cloud rather than a big clunky little thing. I used the scallop slimline with hearts die to cut out a piece of guava cardstock to use as the background for my card. It adds just a nice little frame. For the final touches on the card, I'm going to use a white gel pen to just add some little highlights here and there. That's a process that I'm still working on getting better at. It's just one of those skills that's going to take some time and practice. All right, that just about does it for today. Thanks for stopping by. I hope you enjoyed watching my video. Go ahead and give it a thumbs up. If you'd like to be notified of future videos, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. You can also follow me on Instagram at Sandy Cogdill or on my blog, A Little Bit of Glitter. Thanks again, and I hope you have a great day.